Imagine earning $100,000 a year and still struggling to make ends meet. Sound impossible? For many Americans, this is their reality. The dream of financial security that once came with a six-figure salary is slipping away, leaving many to wonder. What happened to the American dream? The truth is, more than half of Americans believe they need at least $100,000 a year to feel financially comfortable. Yet, even those earning six figures often find themselves living paycheck to paycheck. How did we get here? And what does this mean for the future of the American dream? In this video, we'll explore the rising tide of living costs, the challenges of home ownership, and the impact of social media on our financial perceptions. We'll also look at how different generations are adapting to this new economic landscape. Understanding these shifts isn't just interesting, it's crucial for navigating your own financial future. Are you ready to uncover the truth behind the $100,000 illusion? You might think a six-figure salary would be enough to cover all your expenses and then some, but the reality might surprise you. Let's take a closer look at why even $100,000 a year isn't stretching as far as it used to. The rising tide of living costs has been drowning the dreams of many Americans. Over the past 50 years, wages haven't kept pace with the skyrocketing expenses of everyday life. This gap has left many families struggling to maintain a middle-class lifestyle, even on what was once considered a substantial income. So, what's eating away at our paychecks? Housing costs have been a major culprit. In many parts of the country, especially in cities like New York and San Francisco, the price of putting a roof over your head has reached astronomical levels. But it's not just housing. Healthcare costs have been climbing steadily, leaving many Americans one medical emergency away from financial ruin. And let's not forget about education. With student loan debt hitting an all-time high of $1.77 trillion in early 2023, many young professionals are starting their careers already deep in the red. Add to that the rising costs of childcare, and you've got a recipe for financial stress even on a six-figure salary. But just how bad is it? Well, a recent study by Go Banking Rates analyzed what a family of four would need in each state to own a home, a car, and a pet, while also saving 20% of their income and having 30% for discretionary spending. The results? All 50 states require more than a $100,000 annual income, with 38 states needing more than $140,000. Even in the most affordable states, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Kentucky, a family needs between $109,000 and $117,000 to live comfortably. But here's the kicker. The median income for a household of four in these states in 2022 was only between $71,000 and $87,000. That's a significant shortfall. And if you think that's bad, wait until you hear about the most expensive states. In Hawaii, California, and Massachusetts, a family of four needs more than $240,000 annually to achieve the American dream. The median income in these states? It falls at least $94,000 short of what's required. Now you might be wondering, is there anywhere in the country where a typical income can cover all these expenses? Unfortunately, the answer is not encouraging. The Associated Press found that in only about 3% of U.S. counties is the median income higher than the basic cost of living. But here's the real kicker. All these figures we've been discussing, they're just for basic needs. They don't account for saving for retirement or your children's college funds.
So when we think about the kinds of investments you want to make for your children, the cost of college has gone up a lot faster than overall inflation. So trying to make those investments on a smaller and smaller paycheck compared to the cost of living can be very difficult and almost impossible.
So, the next time you hear someone say they're making six figures, remember, in today's economy, that $100,000 salary might not be stretching as far as you think. The rising tide of living costs has turned what was once a comfortable income into a constant struggle to stay afloat. Now that we've seen how the rising tide of living costs is eroding the value of a six-figure salary, let's turn our attention to another cornerstone of the American dream: home ownership. For decades, owning a home has been synonymous with success and financial stability. But in today's economy, is this dream still attainable? Or has it become a hurdle too high for many Americans to clear? The numbers paint a sobering picture. Nationally, a prospective homebuyer needs a nearly $110,000 salary to afford the payments on a median-priced home. That's a far cry from the median household income in the United States, which was just under $75,000 in 2022. The gap between what's needed and what's available is widening, leaving many wondering if they'll ever be able to call a place their own. But it's not just about income. The barriers to home ownership are many, and they're hitting younger generations particularly hard. Take student loan debt, for instance. It reached an all-time high of $1.77 trillion in the first quarter of 2023. With such a financial burden, it's no wonder that 52% of young adults cite student loans as a major impediment to saving for a down payment. Speaking of down payments, 17% of all home buyers said that saving for one was the most difficult task in the buying process, and it's not hard to see why. With skyrocketing home prices and stagnant wages, putting aside enough money for a down payment feels like trying to fill a bucket with a teaspoon. The situation is particularly dire for millennials and Gen Zers. Despite 62% of younger millennials and 63% of Gen Zers considering homeownership a key part of the American dream, many are finding it increasingly out of reach. The typical first-time homebuyer in 2022 had a household income of $95,900, a figure that's well above the median household income. But what about those who do manage to buy a home? Are they living the dream? Not necessarily. Many are stretching their budgets to the breaking point, leaving little room for other financial goals or unexpected expenses. It's a precarious position that can turn the dream of homeownership into a financial nightmare. The psychological impact of this delayed or unattainable homeownership is significant. Many feel a sense of powerlessness, insecurity, and lower self-esteem. The loss of financial stability that comes with homeownership can contribute to feelings of uncertainty and vulnerability. As one study found, 66% of U.S. renters surveyed feel hopeless about ever owning a home due to rising prices. So what does this mean for the future of the American dream? Is homeownership becoming a luxury reserved only for the highest earners? The numbers seem to suggest so. In Hawaii, California, and Massachusetts, the most expensive states, a family needs more than $240,000 annually to achieve the American dream, including homeownership. That's more than double the national median income. The question is, can we continue to define success and financial stability through homeownership when it's becoming increasingly unattainable for so many? Or is it time to redefine what the American dream means in today's economic landscape? As we navigate this new reality, one thing is clear. The path to homeownership is no longer a straight line, but a complex maze of financial challenges that many are struggling to solve. So we've seen how the dream of homeownership is slipping away for many Americans. But there's another force at play that's reshaping our financial reality: social media. You might think scrolling through Instagram or TikTok is just a harmless way to pass the time, but wait until you hear how it's affecting our wallets and our minds. In today's digital age, we're constantly bombarded with images of luxury lifestyles, exotic vacations, and high-end purchases. It's not just celebrities flaunting their wealth anymore. It's our friends, coworkers, and even strangers on the internet. This constant exposure to seemingly perfect lives is taking a toll on our financial well-being in ways you might not expect. Let's talk about a phenomenon that's becoming all too common: doom spending. More than a quarter of Americans admit to spending money despite economic concerns. Why? It's tied to a growing sense of discouragement, especially among young adults. With long-term financial goals feeling out of reach, many are choosing to live in the moment instead. The numbers are staggering. 73% of Gen Zers say the current economy makes it difficult to set up long-term goals. This isn't just about being irresponsible with money. It's a response to feeling like traditional financial milestones are unattainable. So instead of saving for a down payment on a house they might never be able to afford, they're splurging on experiences like concerts or trips. But here's where it gets interesting. This live for today mentality isn't just about having fun. For many, it's a coping mechanism. People are indulging to the extreme because they believe it will change their life or provide an emotion they feel is missing. It's like chasing a high, hoping each purchase will fill a void or bring lasting happiness. The role of social media in all this can't be overstated. There's an abundance of glamorous, glorified lifestyles visible online, not just from celebrities, but also from peers. It's created a digital version of keeping up with the Joneses that's more intense than ever before. Even if someone is doing okay financially, they might not feel that way when they compare themselves to what they're seeing on their screens. This constant comparison is taking a psychological toll. Many young adults feel very discouraged about their financial standing, leading to a cycle of spending to keep up appearances or find temporary happiness. It's a modern twist on an old problem, amplified by the 24/7 nature of social media. The question is, how do we break this cycle? How can we navigate a world where financial reality is increasingly distorted by what we see online? As we continue to grapple with these challenges, it's clear that the impact of social media on our financial perceptions and behaviors is a crucial piece of the puzzle in understanding the evolving American dream. We've seen how social media can distort our financial reality. But what if I told you there's a way to turn this economic landscape in your favor? It's time to redefine what success looks like in today's world. The American dream might be changing, but that doesn't mean it's out of reach. It's just time for a new playbook. So how can you adapt and thrive in this new economic reality? Let's explore some strategies that could help you achieve financial stability, even when a six-figure salary isn't cutting it anymore. First up, let's talk about budgeting and financial planning. It might not sound exciting, but it's more crucial than ever. Economists have pointed out that debt growth has become a substitution for income growth. In other words, people are borrowing more just to maintain their lifestyle. But this is a dangerous game. Instead of relying on credit cards and loans, it's time to take a hard look at your spending and start living within your means. But what about the big dream of homeownership? With 66% of US renters feeling hopeless about ever owning a home due to rising prices, it's clear we need to think outside the box. Have you considered co-buying with friends or family? Or what about rent-to-own agreements? These alternative paths to homeownership might just be the ticket for those feeling priced out of the market. Now let's talk about building wealth. In today's economy, relying on a single income stream is like putting all your eggs in one basket. It's time to diversify. Investing in stocks, real estate, or even starting a side business can help create multiple income streams. This approach not only provides additional income, but also offers a safety net if one source dries up. But here's something interesting. What if the key to financial happiness isn't about making more money, but about changing how we view success? Many young adults are shifting their focus from material possessions to experiences. This living in the moment mentality might actually be onto something. By valuing experiences over things, you might find yourself feeling richer without needing to earn more. However, none of these strategies will work without a solid foundation of financial knowledge. The growing debt crisis and lack of financial stability highlight the crucial importance of financial education and literacy. It's time we start treating financial skills as essential life skills, right up there with reading and writing. Lastly, let's talk about redefining success. Social media has created a skewed perception of what it means to be successful, often tying it to material wealth. But what if we change that? What if success was measured by personal achievements, strong relationships, and meaningful experiences rather than the size of your bank account or the square footage of your home? The question is, are you ready to rewrite your definition of the American dream? It might not look like what your parents or grandparents envisioned, but that doesn't mean it can't be just as fulfilling. By adapting to this new economic landscape, you might find that success and financial stability are closer than you think. We've seen how the American dream has evolved, but what does its future hold? The traditional path to success is facing unprecedented challenges. Rising living costs, unattainable homeownership, and the distorting effects of social media have all contributed to a shifting landscape. But here's the thing, the American dream isn't dead, it's just changing. As we look ahead, it's clear that our definition of success needs to adapt. The question is, what will the new American dream look like? Will it still revolve around a six-figure salary and a white picket fence? Or will it embrace new values like experiences over possessions? Maybe it's time to reassess what truly brings us happiness and fulfillment. Think about it. What if your version of success doesn't match society's expectations? Are you ready to redefine your own American dream? The future of financial aspirations in America is in our hands. What will you choose?